Hey, good to see you guys again. And I'm going to come to you. This is the Mother's Day rendition of Law Enforcement Leadership Ministries and developing highly successful teams. But wanted to give this to you because we all know that, you know what? We all know who the bosses of the family are. We all know who the real leaders of the family are, and those are moms. So anybody out there that, any of you guys that are married, any of your moms that are listening, happy Mother's Day to you. And go out and celebrate it. Make sure he pays for it to go from there. But I wanted to give you kind of something that was thinking about it as far as teams is concerned too, and it's really found in Deuteronomy. And I'm going to kind of give it to you as when we look at leadership, we look at this as really how do we plan accordingly in successional planning. Have you ever got to the point as a leader where you felt that you had so much responsibility on your plate that there was no way that you could get to it? Well, that's exactly how Moses felt in the first chapter of Deuteronomy. There was a lot of things that were coming to him, a lot of decisions that needed to be made, a lot of turmoil that needed to be resolved, a lot of cases that needed to be looked at. And so he kind of gets to the point to where I think he gets a little bit frustrated and going, how in the world am I going to deal with all of this? And that's when planning comes into real focus. That's when you have to surround yourself with people that you know that you can trust who will get those things done for you, because you may not have time to handle all the issues that a leader has to handle. And we look at this and we talk about it as kind of successional planning. And again, we see it, and I've mentioned this before, Moses gets Joshua. Joshua becomes really that new leader when it comes to Joshua chapter 1 to take him into the promised land. But Moses had a series of issues that he needed to deal with. And this is what Scripture says. It says, how can I alone bear your problems and your burdens and all of your complaints? Choose wise, understanding, and knowledgeable men from among your tribes, and I will make them heads over you. And you answered me and said, the thing which you have told us is good. So I took the heads of the tribes, wise and knowledgeable men, and made them heads over you, leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of 50s, leaders of 10s, and officers for the tribes. Now, here's the great part about it. We can look at this in a leadership perspective and say, it's where the tree of management came from. You know, we look at it kind of like the pyramid style. You've got the leader up on top, then you've got your command staff, your assistant chiefs, then you've got your captains, lieutenants, sergeants, your front line, and then you've got the people that are civilians. And it makes this tree. And as this tree goes down, it filters down so that you as the boss don't have to make all of those decisions. And in this particular case, Moses puts people over thousands, over hundreds, over tens, and he disperses all of the things that need to be done. Now, here was the interesting thing about it was he said, listen, you're going to decide all of these cases, and there has to be part of trust on Moses' part that because they were picking wise, very good leaders among them, which brings me to this point. Don't just pick a leader based on their resumes because they may not be the right people. I've said this before. The best players don't necessarily make the best team. Your leadership team needs to be about people that are wise, they're full of wisdom, they can make good decisions, and that will bounce decisions off of you, and you can bounce decisions off of them, and the communication that you have with them, when you think about it, you can trust the decisions that they make. But the bottom line became this. He said, but listen, I'll still remain in charge, and the really tough decisions that you have to make, or the really tough cases that you have to make, you can bring those to me. And that's exactly where we as leaders need to be. We need to trust the people that are underneath us to handle the situations that need to be handled. We delegate responsibility all the time, and that's called delegated responsibility. And we delegate those things to people that we know that we can do them. We know that we can trust them. And so when you delegate those responsibilities to those, 9 times out of 10, they're going to come back, they're going to solve that particular issue. But it's the one that comes back, that 10th out of 10th time, where they say, you know what, this is going to be a really tough one. We're not quite sure the decision that we're going to make. So you know what, listen, Chief, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that right on your plate. What do you think that we should do? And you, as the leader, as the chief, as the spiritual head of your family, as the head of your organization, you're going to make those very difficult decisions. And sometimes those decisions can be really rough because it affects other people around you. And so this is really where we get into successional planning. This is where we get into who are the people that are going to take your place. And these are going to be the people that you select that have the credibility to make the decisions that they need to make. And that comes with trust. And I say it this way: trust is gained over a lifetime, but can be destroyed in a minute. Now think about that just for a second. You can trust people, and they're willing to be trusted, and they've gained your trust, and now they've got it for years. But the one time that they get to the point to where they make a decision, or you get to the point to where you don't trust them anymore, it's going to be very difficult for that person to lead in this position, but it's going to be very difficult for you to trust that person again. Can they win that trust back? Yep, they certainly can. But there's also times in which you may never trust that person again, and you need to cut your losses. And so I thought I would share this Mother's Day weekend, this team philosophy of successional planning. Don't go it alone. And I say it again, one is too small a number. You need to surround yourself with the right people that you can trust to get the things done that you need to do. Moses certainly understood that principle, and here's how he did it. Now, here's the great part about it. It worked. He delegated that responsibility, and he found himself in a much different position, being able to rest and relax a little bit more than he was doing it, because when I read this scripture, we call it modern day burnout. He was getting pretty tired of all the decisions that had to be made because he was handling things that he should have never been able to handle. And so he delegated that responsibility, and God gave him the matrix to handle that. So what you think about in this particular devotion is, if there's things that you can delegate, go ahead and delegate it. Are there people that you can trust? Delegate those things to the people that you can trust. And in the long run, trust me, you'll face that biblical succession plan in a new way. And you'll have the tendency to go ahead and be able to rest and relax a little bit more, knowing that the people that you have underneath you are people that you trust and people that you've placed in those positions. Hope that blesses you this week. And so have a great Mother's Day again. God bless you. We'll see you next week.